2024 was a great year in watches. We can finally buy Rolexes at retail. We got the White Dial Speedmaster that came out. But I really just wanted to go over the top 7 watches for smaller wrist in this video. This is for my small wrist gang out there, and especially with this holiday season coming up, I kept these kind of affordable so we can get our own watches. But because it is that holiday season, your gift to me is hitting that like and subscribe button, and let's get into it. We're going to be going in order of least expensive to most expensive, and first up is the least expensive watch I think I've ever seen. Coming in at only $1, Timex released the Waterbury 170th anniversary watch. This watch is that great versatile piece under 40 millimeters that comes on a strap. You might be thinking there's no way they released this for $1, and well, they did. They released it for $1, and you could buy it on their website for $1 for about 2 seconds, because of course all the scalpers got to it. And I think that this represents something that's really awesome about the watch world, is like watch brands are still willing to do some like crazy releases, but of course it really brings out the worst of the watch world, because people are just, you know, they're willing to try to make a profit on anything. I've seen this in a lot in any of the other hobbies I have, and it's getting to the watch world. It really sucks because you can see these for like 400 or plus on eBay, and it's like it's a $1 watch, and now people are wanting 400 for it. It's absolutely insane. But for what it was a really cool release. You could get a $1 watch with a bunch of heritage. They were celebrating 170 years of Timex, which is really cool. Timex is an American brand, and I just think it's really cool that you can still find brands with real heritage for very affordable prices, whether it be $1 or $50. You can find great Timexes with the similar heritage for under $50 on Amazon, but if I were you, I'd really try to stick with the steel options. The chrome metal options, just they deteriorate over time. And if you want to watch that'll last, just make sure you pick up the steel model. Again, really unfortunate about this piece because it was an absolute banger. It was affordable. It was good for small wrist. It had a ton of heritage. Unfortunately, they botched the release. Of course, they just released it to the public, and scalpers got it within a minute. I mean, they only had 1,000 pieces of this watch. I really think they should consider doing something similar to how Japan does it. I mean, Japan uses a lottery-based system for any of their events or any limited product. And so if you want to get a product like that, you have to be entered into a raffle, and it's selected completely by randoms. But enough about that rant. Let's talk about the next watch on this list, and that is a watch you can actually get still. This is the Orient Bambino in 38 millimeters. So for $270, you can get a classic affordable dress watch. This is like the staple that everyone is told to get whenever they get into the hobby. Orient has a bunch of different designs. Sometimes they keep it simple. Even with the small seconds, they have the Roman numerals, and I think those look really good. They have the date function on them, and I actually really like Orient's logo. I mean, I know it's kind of small on the dial, but I think that they do it really well. They also handle the dial symmetry pretty well. They have the lines of text that balance out the dial, and I think that Orients are awesome watches. Of course, they have the really entry-level movements, but you can see them, and I love how they make it a clear case back. If you're buying this watch, you're typically going to be a beginner collector, and being able to see that case back, see the movement in the case back, it's really something special for a beginner. For me, it was the Seiko 5. I had the see-through case back on that, and man, that thing really got me captured into watches. Being able to see when I wind it up and I started seeing it moving, that was just the coolest thing to me. For most people, the 38 millimeters by 44 millimeter lug to lug, that's going to be the ideal size for people. Even if you have a 5.5 inch wrist all the way up to maybe a 7-inch wrist. I mean, of course, there's always the 40 millimeter option still, but these new 38s are super awesome, especially for people with smaller wrists like mine. 3 years ago, when I was getting into watches, I thought about getting the 40 millimeter option, but I ended up getting the 40 millimeter Seiko Presage line, and I kind of regret it because the Seiko Presage is really big on me, and the 40 millimeter Orient Bambino would be big on me too. But I'm glad to see that newer collectors will have the 38 millimeter option available because it is really stunning. They have a bunch of different colors. I wish that they didn't make it too feminine. You can tell that they were kind of trying to make this the woman's model, but clearly it's, you know, it's unisex. You can wear it if you want, and I think it'll look really great. And if you're really worried about it being like too feminine, definitely stick with the white dial. The silver looks amazing, looks fantastic. It's a great watch, only held back by its limitations of being in that entry level. You know, it's going to have that mineral crystal, it's going to have that entry level movement, but it does come with Orient's 1-year warranty. They are a crazy good brand, and it's surprising to see that they haven't caught up to Seiko yet. Orient is under the Seiko umbrella, and so I'm not surprised that they haven't really let Orient spread their wings. I think that they want Seiko to be the luxury high-end piece, and so they're really putting all their marketing into the new Seiko prospects, but we'll get into that later. No, actually, I think we should get into that right now. And of course, the one I'm talking about is the one for $700. It is the SSC947, otherwise known as the Pogue. You might be wondering why I'm putting a 42mm diameter watch on a list for smaller wristed folks, and that's because it's a Seiko one. I mean, you already know Seikos wear different, but specifically with this Seiko, it is a 42mm by 46mm, so it's gonna wear pretty compact. And especially with the bezel, it's also gonna make the dial appear smaller, so it's not gonna be too massive on your wrist. I just like this watch because it's not going to overhang on your wrist, but it's also going to look like, you know, you don't have like a lady's watch on your wrist. The original Pogue was an automatic chronograph released in 1969. It was overshadowed by the El Primero, but it was one of the first automatic chronographs, which is really impressive. It was also later worn on the moon by Colonel William Pogue, which is where it got its name. The Pogue is just now known for its bright gold dial on the chronograph. But for $700, you're not getting a Seiko level automatic chronograph. You are getting an amazing solar powered Seiko chronograph, and this one specifically is the Speed Timer Prospect range. It's a really good range. They have waterproof, they have really good rechargeable batteries. Another thing is it's going to have that high beat rate / mecha quartz movement look to it, so it's not going to be like a standard quartz watch. Yes, it will tick, but it will tick a lot smoother than most quartz watches would. The design is kind of out there, but with its historical significance and its cool Pepsi dial, I mean, you can find these watches discounted already, and they're just killer watches for such a great price. You can find them around under $600 easily. I would definitely recommend this chronograph watch if you're looking for something for a smaller wrist, and especially when you make these smaller chronographs, sometimes they don't translate very well. The design and the proportions don't always transfer the best, but I think that they did a really good job on this one. Number 4 on my list is this really cool French micro brand. It is the Bao Bleu. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it because it's French and I don't want to insult them, but it is, you know, maybe they should change the name and make it more pronounceable. But it is a beautiful watch. It is 39mm, but the bezel is kind of chunky, so I can tell that the dial is a little bit smaller, so it's probably going to wear a little bit smaller than 38mm. I really like this watch. I saw it in a Teddy Baldassar video, and I've always had a thing for these weird French micro brands, but there was this one I saw, it's called a Triblo, and this watch was like really beautiful, really interesting, but it was $8,000. And I look at this watch and I'm like, yeah, that's really beautiful and really interesting, and it's French, so I assumed it was going to be thousands of dollars. But no, you can actually get this watch for $800. I think that's well, I lied, $801, tax excluded, on their website. I'm just like, why 801? Anyways, it's a great watch, and let me tell you why. I probably don't need to tell you. You can see the circle rings, you can see how cool it looks. Yeah, but I really love this design, especially I love the date window. So at the 6 o'clock position, there's a date window, and I thought maybe they would screw it up and they'd put like a square date window and have the circle hands. But no, they got it right. I mean, the date window is well executed. I love how the, you know, obviously the numerals are going to go around the dial, but for some reason they look so clean on this one. You might be thinking, how is this legible with flying circles everywhere? But you mean, if you look at this watch and you focus on the circles outside of the rings, if that makes any sense, like at the very edge of the rings, and you just look at that to tell the time, I assume it'd be really easy to tell the time on this watch. I love how you can get the integrated mesh bracelet on it, and you can also get the crocodile leather strap. I think that one looks really sick. There are more expensive versions of this watch that are limited, and I think that they look really good too. It's called the Second France case. I'm so butchering that, but I think that those ones look way more beautiful, but they are a little bit more expensive, so I chose the first one for this one. Overall, I love this design. I've really been getting into micro brands and trying to, you know, venture out. I'm a little worried to spend a lot of money on the brand and then not really know about it. But with this one being only $800, I think, well, you know, if I save up, I could get that one, and it wouldn't be like a crazy $8,000 French micro brand or independent brand. This one just seems really, really cool. Speaking of which, number 5 is actually another micro brand. I think this one's Italian or it's French, I can't remember. From Econutra, it is the Ravanera. From Econutra, it is the Ravanera Black. That's the one I chose. I don't think that that's a great name for a brand, but you know, whatever. It's a cool freaking watch. So I saw this watch pop up on my Instagram feed, and it's basically a grade 5 titanium Cartier tank alternative. It's just stunning. I mean, I love the way they did the dial on this one. I love the way they have like that tank look still in the center, and then of course you have the minute track kind of coming out of it. It's really pretty. I really like how if you zoom in on it, the actual texture of the titanium looks very rough. It's very similar to what the Cartier was supposed to be, where it's supposed to be this like rough, beautiful, elegant piece, but this one just takes it and like bumps it up a notch. If you look at the side of the case flank, it is like kind of coming out a little bit. There's like an edge on there, and it's so beautiful. They use a hexagonal style crown similar to the Royal Oak. I think it looks great. It's a little bit derivative, yeah, but I think that having it in titanium, we don't have that anywhere that I know of in Cartier, and so I think it works. It's coming in at a really affordable price too, like $1,800. I mean, the steel Cartier tanks are more than this watch, and I just think that's amazing. I didn't mention the price. The price is $1,490, which is really affordable, and considering the dimensions, it's pretty impressive. So the technology to make this much must have been hard. It is measuring about 27 millimeters by 40 millimeters long, and that might sound kind of weird, but trust me, this would wear really, really well on smaller wrists. I think 5.5 up to 7.5. This watch is going to wear great. I saw Chris make a video about it. He has a 7.5 inch wrist. It looked great on him. I'm sure it looked great on me. I mean, I've worn similar watches. This one has a 40 millimeter lug to lug, and I love it. So I can imagine this one wears right. And you might be thinking, well, it's going to be thick. It's going to be ugly. And no, this watch is awesome. It is only 5.9 millimeters thick with the crystal, I believe. Insane, under 6 millimeters. And yes, it's a mechanical movement. You're not paying $1,000 for quartz. This is a mechanical watch. It keeps stunning me the way that they made this watch. Not only is it mechanical, but it's actually using a really solid ETA movement. This one is the ETA 7001. It's a manual winding caliper, which is how they get it to be so thin. But honestly, I love it. I mean, if I get to, wind that hexagonal crown even more, all power to it. Yes, is it a little bit derivative? Yeah, but I think that they added enough to this watch in 2024. It's titanium, it's really thin, and, they got the mechanical movement in there. Cartier doesn't even do that for their freaking affordable watches. I think that they added enough to it to where, yes, I would totally put my money on this one. Just really cool watch. Although the brand name sucks. I don't want Echo Neutral on my dial. Like, that's... just to me, and I don't like how they have a slash in it. That seems so not classy. But anyways, moving on to number 6 of my pick, I chose the Tissot PRS 516 automatic chronograph, and I'm not talking about the quartz one because the quartz one looks terrible. This is Tissot's automatic one that they just came out with. If you don't know already, I love compact chronographs. I love how they look. I love how they feel. I love how they wear. I love pushing the buttons when I'm in class every day, when I'm walking, wherever I'm going. I love using chronograph functions. They're the most interactive feature on a watch, and honestly, I think that's why people like the little Apple Watches. They love clicking the side button on it. I see people tapping on it the whole time. That's what I love about chronographs, and this is a fantastic chronograph. This one's coming in at $1,850, so it is a little bit up there. It's right under $2,000. Tissot, you can always find them typically under retail on eBay, and I think that if you really look around, you'll find a really good price for this one. It's a great design. It's based off a 1970s model, and it has some fun colors on it, but it's still got that classic black and white silver pattern. Like, it's boring enough, but if you look at it, it's pretty cool. It's got that almost regatta style timer, the little blue on the subdial, and it's really interesting to me. Another thing that's so interesting about this watch is the clear case back. You get to see that chronograph movement, and under $2,000, that's really cool to see. I'm excited to see what other chronographs they'll come out with. I know they have one that's like 1979 or something, and it is, it's a little big, it's a little long. I think the lug to lug is 49 millimeters, but this one's way more wearable, and that's why I chose this one. It's also a lot younger looking. The other one looked really old, but this one, no matter what age you are, it's gonna look really great. Tissot is an amazing brand. They've actually been improving their bracelets and their clasp, and I will always praise them because they were the first Swiss watch I bought, and I would totally buy this watch if I was looking for a mechanical chronograph that was compact size. Truly a stunning pick from Tissot in 2024. But now on to number 7, the Omega Aquaterra, and this one is with the glossy black dial. For the one that we're looking at, this watch retails for $6,600, and is that worth it? Well, let's talk about it. They come in 3 different sizes. There's the 34, the 38, and the 41. I personally think that the 34, they butchered it. It kind of looks very feminine. The 38 looks fantastic. I love it. You know, it looks good. The 41 looks a little too big for me. So let's talk about the 38. I'm really surprised this watch wasn't in the lineup sooner. I mean, boring watches sell, and this is as boring as it gets. It's a stainless steel sports watch with a date complication with a glossy black dial. It is maybe the Explorer alternative, maybe the Datejust alternative. Whatever it is, it's the watch you're going to wear all the time. And the fact that it's a comfortable 38 millimeters is awesome. They've also kept it slim because you don't have that chronograph movement. You don't have that dive watch need for the water resistance. You are getting a very relatively compact case. With these Aquaterras, you still get 150 meters of water resistance, so you can go swimming with this watch and it's going to look fantastic. This is a really cool beach watch. It's an office watch. It's an everyday watch. It's a really cool watch. Oh god, I said watch like a billion times. I actually owned a Omega Railmaster, which uses the same case as this watch, and I love the curved lugs on it. It's really well balanced, and of course the dial on this one looks fantastic. I love the hands. I love how the the minute hand has that arrow on it. It just makes it so much more legible. And don't get me started, I mean, they have the seconds hand that has the arrow on it. And I really don't like it when watches just have a plain stick second hand, because sometimes, especially if they're high polished, I lose the hand on the dial. And especially with this watch, you know, being glossy black, you would just lose it instantly. But, you know, of course, it's got Omega's bright lume. It's got big, chunky plots of lume, and it's got those big markers. This is just an awesome watch. And if I really was looking for a compact luxury watch, this would be it. You know, if you have that special someone for Christmas and you got them that, I think they'd be happy. Inside is the coaxial master chronometer movement, and this one just looks beautiful. I love the radial brushing on the rotor. I don't know how I feel about the red text. I think that looks a little tacky, but other than that, like the rotor in the back of this watch just looks fantastic. I think that they improved the bracelet and the clasp on this one. It uses a butterfly style clasp, and that's personally my favorite because I don't like having a big bulky clasp that folds open, but I know some people will want that micro adjustment. Omegas will usually come with half links, so you know you can get a decent fit. You just can't switch it on the fly. Overall, a super solid pick from Omega, and you can't go wrong with just a classic black sports watch. So that was my 2024 list of the 7 best watches that you can get. And I tried to go for ones that are for smaller wrist and that are more affordable. Of course, that Omega kind of, you know, blew the budget out of the water there. It's interesting how as my life changes and as I take on more responsibility, right now I'm in college and I'm paying for it all myself. And I've seen my taste in watches shift towards the more affordable bracket, the more affordable tier. When I wasn't paying for my own college, I had more disposable income, so I, you know, went straight for the luxury watches. But now I'm experiencing the more affordable side, and I think there are some really cool watches out there that hopefully one day I get to try, because you know, you see them on the screen, you try them on in the shop, but it's so different from wearing them. But anyways, let me know if you have any of these watches, and go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, you know, do all the stuff for YouTube. I typically cover smaller watches on this channel, so if you're interested in that, I'll put a playlist right here and you can watch all of those till your heart's content. And I'll see you over there.